I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt here, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. This is my third attempt at starting this show. I just thought you'd let me peek behind the curtain, because I'll tell you what, folks, I am horrible at the beginning of the show. I have been like this my entire life/career as a comedian type person. On stage, I have no opening bit, and I never have. So I'll always have to go up and talk about something that's happening in the room or something that's happening in that town, anything, because I've never had an opening bit. A lot of comics, they just roll up there, they got their thing, and they can blast it out. Not me. I got nothing, as evidenced by this past 45 seconds of talking. So go ahead and take that to heart. Coming to you live today from Valley Village, California. It's exciting to be here because I live here. And who knows who might stop by. You know, I might do that. What if I had a podcast where like someone would just knock on the door and I'd let them in? It would just be like a special guest. We might hear from the Russian Jessica Alba, who lives here. That's Oksana. She lives upstairs. I'm looking forward to summer, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of folks in their bikinis. A lot of folks? That didn't sound good. A lot of dudes. Some dudes here in the building. They throw their bikinis on. We all wear bikinis. It's a weird thing that we do. We go out there together. But yeah, we're here. Nobody's sick anymore. I'm not sick. My wife is not sick. She's not here, though. She is off working. She goes to work. She works in Woodland Hills. Wait, that's far too much information. But folks, forget I said that. You don't want to hear that. She works somewhere. And this week she's got a national sales meeting, so she's off in a hotel, which means I'm alone. Means I get to sit here in my house and do whatever the hell I want, folks. And that usually means I'll be here watching SportsCenter and eating drumsticks. And I don't mean turkey drumsticks. Oh, that would be awful. What if I did? What if I just ate turkey drumsticks all day? Ugh, gross. Not a fan. Although, you know, turkey drumsticks, when we were kids, because we were very poor as children, my mom would make turkey drumsticks. And when you're a child, you've got that, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool because it's gigantic. And you're like, this is awesome. Look, I've got this big turkey leg. And but then you don't realize that you're poor. I mean, that's why your mom made turkey drumsticks, because you're poor. That's all you should afford. And cube steak. Oh, God, if I never eat another fucking cube steak in my life, I'm thrilled. Cube steak is literally, it's like a shoe. It's like the bottom of a shoe, but with gravy. Like that's somehow supposed to make it palatable to you somehow. Cube steak is just, it's tough and it's not good. And my mom's a good cook. My mom, when she could cook, because my mom worked when we were kids, my mom is, let's talk about my mom for a second. Why not do that? Because I got a phone call from my mom today. Well, all right, back up. I'm going to address this real quick because after last week's episode, it came to my attention as I listened to it that I sounded like a real jagoff. Because I've punched my brother in the face and I'm laughing about it and all these crazy things. And, you know, I'm not that bad a guy. I just, I am kind of a dick, I guess. I've lost it periodically, and that's cost me friendships, and that's why I'm doing a show alone these days. But, you know, I got to tell you, my brother was fine. Everybody's fine. We all get along. And by we all, I mean me and two of my brothers, and two of them I don't speak to. So that should cover that for you. And also, I got emails from people asking if the cat that I threw at my brother lived. If the kitten that I bounced off my brother's chest at high velocity, and yeah, T-Ball lived, and I won that goddamn fight because within 2 days, that cat was gone, and I could sleep on the futon unencumbered by any sort of jungle animal leaping on me in the middle of the night. So T-Ball took a powder, and my brother was better for it, let me tell you that, because eventually he would have wound up getting stoned and stepping on it in the middle of the night anyway and crushing its skull. So I did that cat a favor by getting him out of there. Believe me, we could have thrown that cat into a dumpster and it would have been better off than living in that apartment with me because you know, you had to open the door and you were walking into Jamaica. There was so much pot smoke in the place. Literally, you could scrape bong resin off the walls. That's how brutal it was. My brother getting high with his friends. And sometimes getting high, but not with his friends. This happened one time. I'm in the house. And I woke up, and I'm in the house, and there's 4 black guys that I've never met in my life sitting in the apartment. I don't know who they are. And let's put it this way. I'm assuming they weren't looking at me going, oh, look how cute he is when he sleeps. I'm sure they were sitting there going, we got to worry about the big guy here. Is he going to be in a problem? because I woke up and I was like, what's going on? And it turns out, nothing. Just my brother met these guys and decided to buy some crack from them. That's all. And let him into the apartment. Let them into his house. These 4 crack dealers that he's never met in his life. And when I say my brother, I need to point, that's my youngest brother, Scott, because I don't want to be casting aspersions across the entire Schmidt family. Although, who cares at this point, quite frankly? None of them are talking to me, so let's bring them all down. That's what I'm planning on doing. If you're a drug guy, that's fine. I don't care. I've never cared that anybody wanted to do that. I didn't like waking up in the middle of the wire. That wasn't fun, but, it wasn't for me. I'm a guy, I've been high twice in my life. I smoked in like sophomore year in high school at Glenn Pfeiffer's house on a pipe that Rick Shaver brought. And then another time, the only other time I smoked dope was I was in 6th grade. This is the first time I ever did it. 6th grade in my backyard with 10 other guys from my block. And Jimmy Warden and Raymond Warden had stolen a joint from their older brother, Larry Warden, and brought it over, and we were all going to get high. 10 guys, 10 6th graders, like literally the cast of South Park is getting high in the backyard of my house. And it was and this is we're talking 77, 78. And it was a joint. They took one joint from Larry, and it had strawberry rolling paper. And 10 of us are going to smoke it, and I'm 10th in line. So by the time it gets to me, none of us know how to smoke a joint. So by the time it gets to me, literally, you could wring the spit out of it. It was just fucking horrible. And I'm like, I'm not putting this in my mouth. But, of course, I did because there's 9 guys staring at me and, you got to do it. So I smoked it, and I wound up, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. Sophomore year, I got buzzed, but that year I didn't. And but I've never been a drug guy, which is weird. And it's funny because my mom, growing up, my mom smoked dope. And actually, I remember she sat us down and pulled it out. She had a box, and it was a Whitman's sampler box. So we were like, "Ooh, candy! This is great. Mom's gonna give us some candy." And my mom goes, "Look, I got to talk to you guys." And she takes the top off, and there's pot in there, and then there's seeds, and then there's rolling papers. There's she was a job. I don't know how to pronounce it. 1.5er. She had that, and she had the little rolling machine. I don't know if she ever used the rolling machine because when I saw her roll joints, it was with her hands. My mom's very talented. So she's opened it up, and there wasn't candy, unfortunately, just drugs. And she's telling us, look, you're going to find this box periodically. It's here, and I'm just telling you that I smoke marijuana. So I just want to make sure you know that, and don't throw this away when you find it. And you guys shouldn't smoke marijuana. Particularly not mine, I guess was the message there. Like, don't be dipping into my stash, I think was the message my mom was sending at that point. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was never even tempted to do it. I don't know if my other brothers, did it. I don't know if the Wardens came by and stole stuff from my mom. They might have done that. Raymond and Jimmy, they were very, very busy guys. They stopped stealing from Larry, came over to my mom's house and pinched some dope. But my mom, that's 77. So what are we looking at? 31 years later, my mom still getting high. Called me today to ask me if I've ever heard of something called purple sticky salvia. I don't know if it's some weird herb or some leaf. I don't know what it is, but I know that's illegal in Illinois, and my mom wanted to know if I could buy it out here in California. And I said, sure, Mom, that's what I want to be, is your drug mule. I'm hoping to go ahead and purchase as much of this as I possibly can and ship it to you so you get taken down by the dogs when they smell it. Seriously, Mom, why do you want to bring me into this? I think I've made it pretty clear that I wasn't going to be into drugs when I didn't steal any of your stash growing up. So I don't know why you want to make me an accessory in your drug deals. And in purple sticky salvia, could you find something more obscure for me to find? Possibly just tell me to grow something and then send it to you. How about sending me out to score a toad you could lick? Could you go ahead and do that, Mom? So I could go ahead and say that I'm on board with getting my mom high every possible way that I can? And, I don't want this to sound like I'm judging my mom either. If my mom wants to get high, go right ahead because, she raised 5 boys on her own with no husband around. And not just 5 boys, me and my 4 brothers. We were fucking animals. So, if my mom wants to go ahead and get high, go right ahead, do something to take the edge off. She might as well just go to Bangkok and grow her own Thai sticks at this point because she's earned it. And it's funny, she needs to take the edge off because I didn't come by this anger cheaply. I got a lot of it from her too. When I was a kid, what was I, 10, 11? Probably 1978. I saw my mom get into a fist fight in my neighborhood. Like a literal fist fight, like crazy, kids everywhere, everybody, not just my mom in the dark sneak punching somebody. Although wouldn't that have been, that would be great to see if your mom just, oh man, I saw my mom sucker punch somebody in the dark at a theater. We were living, all right, it was me and my 4 brothers. And across next door to us in Romeoville, Illinois, was Carol Rabb and Mike Rabb, and then their sons, Scott and Stevie. And at the time, Carol was pregnant. She was like 8.5 months pregnant with her son, who would eventually be Mo. Yes, Mo Rabb. I didn't name him. Wasn't my choice. That was their choice. So my mom, I guess Carol was she was like a straight up barefoot West Virginia hillbilly. I mean, just, out in a tube top, pregnant, mowing the lawn, that kind of thing, barefoot. And she could also pull out her top teeth, like her upper plate would come out. She would just, one of those things like, hey, what are you, a child? Here's my top teeth. I'm going to pull them out now and scare the hell out of you. Great. That's fantastic. So Carol winds up across the street in an argument with Ricky Crumb's mom, who will be known from this point on as Mrs. Crumb, because I don't know her first name. Actually, eventually she'll be known as something else when my mom gets involved, but you'll hear that. So Carol's arguing with Mrs. Crumb, and Carol's 8.5 months pregnant. And so my mom wanders across the street, and she's trying to get Carol to come inside. So we're all over there. Now, I'm talking everybody. There's probably 30 people from the block out watching this as Carol is arguing with Mrs. Crumb, and Mrs. Crumb is yelling at my mom, and Mr. Crumb is out there, and Ricky and Timmy Crumb are there, and they're pointing at my brother Glenn, and it's getting kind of heated. But my mom is calm. My mom is just saying, Carol, let's get the fuck out of here. You don't want to be dealing with this right now. You're pregnant. Let's go. So there's like 40 of us out there. It's, this huge crowd. It's getting larger the more I tell the story, by the way. There was 100 people out there. Oh my God, the Goodyear blimp flew over. It was amazing. No, it was... the whole neighborhood is out there, basically. So it's Carol and Mrs. Crumb in a standoff, and my mom is standing between them, and my mom is facing Carol and saying, look, you don't need this. Go ahead and go home. Just, you don't need to be in this argument. So as she's doing this, she has her back to Mrs. Crumb. Mrs. Crumb, in her infinite wisdom, loses it, runs down the driveway, and just starts hitting my mom in the shoulders and back. But she's hitting her with closed fists, but only using the heels of her hands. So she looks like a cat playing with a ball of string, just how you would bat that around. That's how she attacks my mom. And she's like, you get out of here. And she bing, bing, bing. She hits my mom probably like 5 times. And everybody in the neighborhood's like, whoa, because you've never seen an adult hit another adult, let alone 2 ladies go at it. Even though Romeoville, Illinois is white trash, we had not gotten that white trash just yet. My mom takes the shots, turns around. I'm not kidding you. This is what my mom did. Looks at her and goes, when you going to fucking hurt me, Bones? My mom whipped out crazy Mike Tyson trash talk on another housewife in the neighborhood, reaches up, grabs Mrs. Crumb by the hair with her left hand, and throws a smooth right uppercut right in the face. Crack! And drops her. Puts her on her ass right there in the driveway. And I mean, now we live with my mom, so we've gotten the hammer because my mom has to, kind of slap the shit out of us because she's got to keep us in line. The rest of the neighborhood, I guess, never knew that my mom's a small woman. My mom, she's built like a mailbox at the time. My mom's probably like 5'4", but like, probably a solid like 170 and just squatty. So she's built like Tyson too. But she blasted this woman with a fucking uppercut, knocked her right on her ass. And it was great because the whole neighborhood, it was just like, you just heard like that noise, like, hey, yeah, and Mrs. Crumb is yelling, and then there's just this ambient noise, and and then you just hear, oh! Everybody just makes that noise at once. And it's just this weird beat. And everybody kind of looks at Mr. Crumb to see what he's going to do. And Mr. Crumb, you could almost see just the fight leave his eyes immediately and just go, yeah, I'm not interested in any of this. And he goes down, picks up his wife, takes her back in the house. And now that's, that's the first time we see my mom throw hands, but it's not the last. Actually, I didn't even witness the next one, but it happened. My mom, there was a time when I was in high school where my mom got real sick. She wound up breaking her back. And then when she was in the hospital, they were just decided to do like 9 other surgeries on her while she was there. They're like, well, you need a hysterectomy and an appendectomy, and we'll throw in a couple other ectomies while you're here. Who knows? So they went ahead and took care of her. But she's in the hospital for like 8 to 10 weeks, I think it was. And we were living with a live-in babysitter named Lynn. Lynn was like a 24-year-old girl who was just staying there and watching us. And we had a lot of those growing up, by the way. We would come home and there'd be some stranger in the house. My mom would be like, hey, they're going to stay with us for a couple of weeks. Oh, great. Well, that's fine. And sometimes it was, not cool, like when we had to deal with Mike Carnett, the prison barber who was staying in our house and banging my mom. But then another time, it was pretty cool when Debbie was staying there, and all of us were trying desperately not to jerk off every time she walked into a room because Debbie was the hottest chick in history. And then her like sleazy boyfriend Ruben would come by and slap her around. That wasn't fun. So, he never slapped her around in front of us, but he would like get rough, and we didn't like Ruben. He was just like shady. And Debbie was just, oh my God, Debbie was ridiculous hot, like, and crazy hippie hot, like, and the kind of hippie who's like walking around in, a bra and panties and just going, hey, what's happening, everybody? Hey, what's happening? I'm having puberty this second. That's what's fucking happening. So we had a lot of people staying in my house over the years. And One time, you know what? We had a guy named Dale living in our house, and Dale was great. Dale was like this big redheaded guy, and then one morning I woke up and I was walking out to the school bus, and there was like 5 cars, Chevy Caprices, and you know that's not good when you see 5 Chevy Caprices on the street. Even at the age of 14, I knew something was going on. So I saw these guys in suits on walkie-talkies, and we all kind of knew Dale was in trouble with the law, and that was one of the reasons he was staying with us. So I went into the house, and I just went, hey, Ma, I think there's trouble outside. And as it was happening, they started pounding on our front door, and Dale got up, and he's starting to get dressed, and they came over the back fence, and Dale grabs his clothes, and he goes to hop out a second floor window, and my mom goes, Dale, and he stopped and looked at her, and she goes, don't, because she didn't want him gunned down in front of us. So it turns out these are man's agents, which are Metropolitan something, narcotics, something, who knows. But that was an interesting morning as Dale got taken off to prison with all of us crying on the lawn before school. That was very fun. So these people would stay in our house all the time. So Lynn is staying there and she's watching us. And it turns out while she's there, she decides to bang my older brother. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that when you're babysitting the 5 kids? I know why you wouldn't do it, because you would know that my mom punched Mrs. Crumb in the face 12 years previous and is probably going to frown on this sort of activity. So my mom finds out what Lynn did, and she arranges for all of us to get sent to Wisconsin to stay with my horrifying grandparents. And, she then decides, and my mom's still in the hospital, mind you, still, stitches and still all fucked up. So Lynn, knowing that my mom is not really somebody you want to fuck around with, disappears. Like, she bails. And so we're in Wisconsin and Lynn is gone. And we talked to my mom and she's still in the hospital. My mom finds out that Lynn is staying at a mutual friend named Mark's house. Mark, who's still a family friend to this day. So my mom leaves the hospital in a gown, makes Mark pick her up. And she's like, you need to pick me up. And he's like, look, Pat, you need it. And she's like, you need to pick me up now. And my mom is very persuasive, and people know that when she's saying things that you need to listen to my mom. She gets the steely stare going, and it's because my mom is she can get a black cloud going like nobody's business. So Mark picks her up, and she's like, Lynn's at your house, isn't she? And he's like, Pat, look, you don't know what's happening. And she goes, take me over there. My mom's in a fucking hospital gown, mind you, still with Band-Aids and stuff in her arms, left the hospital without approval, shows up, knocks on Mark's door with Mark. This is what my mom does. My mom is somebody who will not just burst in or cause a scene. My mom is sneaky. My mom knocks on the front door, knowing Lynn is in there, with Mark. Mark could have let them in, but my mom knocks on the door. Lynn opens the door. My mom punches her right in the face, breaks her jaw. Just unloads on Lynn and just punches her like 4 or 5 times, looks at Mark and goes, take me back to the hospital. Leaves Lynn in a heap right in Mark's fucking foyer. That's my mom. So maybe you have a general idea of why I've turned out the way that I have. Maybe. And it's funny, as I'm telling this story, Eric just said, Happy Mother's Day. And I'm like, yep, that's why I'm bringing this up. I wasn't going to, but I said, you know what, the hell with it. My mom deserves to have her story told on Mother's Day. People need to know how much pounding she's done. My mom did this. My mom was the master of like the bait and switch on you. One time I had walking pneumonia, I told you about it last week, and I was in 8th grade, 7th grade. And my brother, no, I was in 8th grade because Lenny was in high school. He was his freshman year in high school. That's my older brother. And Lenny was suspended from school, and I knew he was suspended. And so I had to go to the doctor. My mom is like, all right, we're going to go and we're going to take you to the doctor. But first, we need to go by the high school because I got to drop a key off for Lenny. I says, no, you probably don't need to do that. Lenny's got a key because I know he's not there. So I go, no, it's not going to be a problem. Lenny's going to be fine. We'll go there and everything will be fine. So my mom's going, no, we got to go to the school. I got to drop off a key. It's not going to be a big deal. Well, you don't have to come in. Just relax, and then we'll go to the doctor. I'm going, Mom, seriously. Lenny's fine. He's got a key, and we'll probably beat him home anyway. I don't think the doctor's going to take that long. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? We got to stop at the school. So we go to the school, and my mom, it's just that weird thing where you know that everything's going to shit in like 10 minutes. My mom pulls up front, and she gets out, and I'm sitting in the car. I'm watching her disappear in the distance as a dot and just going, this is bad. The rest of this day is bad. So I'm in the car, and I'm, like I said, I've got walking pneumonia, so I've got a free pass at least. I mean, I know I'm not in trouble, and but I know Lenny's fucked at this point. So I then see my mom come walking out, and she's got the face, like just the horrible face, because now, how embarrassing is that for her? She showed up to drop off a key for him, So not only does she not know that he's suspended, but now it looks like she doesn't even know where her own kid is, and she's humiliated. So I do what anybody would do in that instance. I fake like I'm asleep. I'm sick. I got no interest in talking to her. She gets in the car and she goes, "Wake up!" And what? Did you know your brother was suspended? Suspended? No. Yeah, he's fucking suspended. So we go to the doctor and we take care of that. We go back to the house and I'm sick. So my mom was making me like a steak. I'm ill because apparently that's what you get when you get walking pneumonia. Your mom makes you a steak at 4 p.m. So we're sitting there, my mom, and I got to set up the kitchen. I'm at the kitchen table. My mom is at the stove and she's got her back to her back right is the front door. Lenny walks in. My mom is making the steak. And I can see her doing it. I'm watching it. And Lenny walks into the kitchen. He goes, "Hey, Ma." She goes, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Nothing. Steak sizzling." She's got cooking. Got the spatula. She's working the steak. And he says, "Oh, steak." And she's like, "Well, this is for your brother. If you want another one, I'll make one for you." He goes, "Great." She goes, "How was school today?" He goes, "School was great." Whack! Hits him right in the face with the spatula. I mean, not even a question, not even a beat, nothing. How was school? School was great. Wham! Spatula to the face. Hot grease. Sit down. And he looks up and he's like, "What?" And she goes, "I was at that goddamn school today and you're suspended. When were you going to tell me that you were fucking suspended?" And the first words out of my brother's mouth, "Mike knew." Yeah, Mike knew. Sells me out. And I'm sick. So immediately I'm thinking, all right, I'm sick, and now I'm going to have a spatula wound that I'm going to have to go back to the doctor and get fixed. But my mom turns around, gives me the slow burn, crazy, slowly I turn, stares at me and just goes, "I'll never trust you again." I get that on me in 8th grade. "I'll never trust you again" dropped on me. So it was horrifying. But that's my mom. I mean, she just, that's how she did. And the thing is, this wasn't even the first time this had happened. Lenny should not have fallen for it because it happened once when we lived in Romeoville. We ditched school, and we were going to go to this place called Old Chicago, which was in Bolingbrook, Illinois. Now, I lived in Romeoville. We're kids who ditch school and are going to walk to another city to go to an amusement park. What kind of fucking plan is that? Horrible. But we decided we're going to do it. So we decided to take a shortcut through these cornfields. It had rained. I'm not lying when I tell you we are knee deep in mud. And we're walking and we're knee deep in mud. It's terrible. And I've got blisters on my feet from my shoes being pulled off and going on. I mean, it's just the whole thing's a mess. So finally at noon, after 3 hours of trudging through mud and cornfields, we go, we're never going to make it. And we need to go back because we're filthy. We got to fix this. So it's me, my brother Lenny, our friend Larry Swick, and our friend Quentin Witkevich, QJ. So the 4 of us go to Larry Swick's house because his mom is out working. And by the way, we did this on my mom's day off. This plan could not have been worse. Literally, we could have left a note from Mom that said, "Hey, we're ditching school and we're going to try to walk to Bolingbrook." It couldn't have been worse if we had left the note. So we go to Larry Swick's house and we have to wash our clothes. Like, we have to actually do laundry. That's how filthy we are. So we're watching the Cubs and we're washing our clothes. And Harold Labita, who is a notorious liar, he shows up at Swick's house and we let him in the back door because, again, you have to hide because parents are everywhere. And Labita comes in and he looks down at our house and we had some shitbox car that my uncle had gotten my mom. And he goes, "Hey, whose car is that?" And we go, "That's my mom's." And he goes, "That car was at the school today." Now, first of all, Labita's a fucking liar. There's no way that car's at the school. Second of all, the parking lot in our school is huge. Labita went through and looked at all the cars in the parking lot. We're like, "Fuck you, Labita. There's no way that car was there." So he's like, "All right, fine." So we hang out. It's time to come home. Now, again, we ditch school. My mom is home. Everything is bad. So then what do? We walk home a different direction. Like, we even come home from the opposite end of the block from the school, as if we somehow walked all the way around our block and decided to double back to our house. So just to tip our hand even further, we come walking up. I'm limping. Our clothes freshly laundered. We come walking up. My mom walks down the driveway and she's going over to Carol's house, who she had saved from Mrs. Crumb. And my mom sees us in the driveway and she just goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And we're like, "Hey, Mom." And she says, "How was school today?" And we said, "School was great." Whack! Hits Lenny in the head with a soda cup. She's got like a Coke and with like a Pepsi with ice and stuff. Smashes the cup into his head. "I was at that goddamn school today. Get in the fucking house." We go in the house. My mom comes in and she threw everything in the house at us. I'm not kidding. everything. Like, we are laying on the ground. We're being hit by potted plants and books and laundry. And this is where I got throwing the cat from, I think. Because my mom is unloading and just throwing fucking everything at us. And we're just laying, and we laid there underneath the smoldering pile, and she split. She went next door to Carol's. And we just laid there, literally didn't move. After she left, even closed the door. We just looked at each other like, should we move? Nah, fuck it. We're staying right here. That was my mom, man. I mean, and to this day, I wouldn't put it past her, like, to beat my ass, if she wanted to. And that's an ass whooping I'd take. I just fucking, rope a dope it and get my ass kicked. But that's who she was. My mom was, she had to keep us in line. Like I said, she raised 5 boys on her own. One time we went out to dinner, and it was me and my brothers, Glenn, Andy, and Scott. And when I was 13, I used to hang out with a guy named Mike Scott my freshman year. And we would do things called impossible situations. Like, you would, to anybody, you would say to them, you'd go, hey, there's a knock at your door. What would you do? And they go, I'd answer it. And it was essentially like a live version of Dungeons and Dragons, but it was with people you knew. And it always involved you having gay sex with somebody. I mean, that was always the upshot. Hey, there's a knock at your door. What would you do? I'd open it up. Hey, it's Dave Rizal from your algebra class. He says, hide me. Do you do it? Yeah. And then we would do that for hours. And like I said, inevitably you would wind up getting raped by somebody like a gorilla or somebody you knew. You would have to have sex with somebody to make a hard choice. So we were out to dinner, and it's my mom and me and my 3 brothers. And I looked at my brother Glenn, and I said to him, I go, Glenn, what if no matter what you ordered, they brought you a steaming bowl of human placenta? And my mom she's got like her drink there, and she got Crown Royal, and she just looks at me and goes, oh, what did you say? And I know I'm busted. I know I'm completely busted. So the only way out of this is I can either cop to it, and then she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or I can do what I did. And I just went, what? And she goes, do you know what that is? And I go, and I'm trying not to laugh, and because I know I'm finished, but I can't help, and I just go, no. And she goes, that's afterbirth, asshole. And I go, oh. And because I want to laugh so hard right in her face, because of course I know what it is. I never would have said it if I didn't know what it was. And I'm tears. It was this instantaneous trying to stop laughing, so it came out as tears. I'm sitting there, and tears just start rolling down my face, and I'm like, trying not to laugh. And my brothers now are trying not to laugh, but my mom has the evil face on, so none of us can laugh because she's going to beat the shit out of us. And finally she just goes, what the fuck's wrong with him? And I go, nothing. And she was so disgusted she got up and left. We had to leave the restaurant. Couldn't eat. That's it. We're not eating at the Charlie Horse in Orland Park. All of us are getting into a car and fucking going home. That's what my mom was notorious for that. One time we went to Jewel, which is a grocery store in Chicago, and Carol, who I mentioned lived next to us in Romeoville, wound up moving to New Lenox, Illinois. And she had a house that had an in-the-ground pool, which was amazing. And we would go over there every Labor Day or Memorial Day or 4th of July, and we would stay at her house for 3 days, and we would, we would play with her sons, Scott and Steven, and my mom would hang out and get high with Carol and all of the adults. So on July 2nd, one weekend, we go to Jewel. And because the 2nd was a Friday and my mom was off, and then the 3rd, 4th, so it was going to be like a big 4-day weekend, and we were going and we couldn't wait. So we go to Jewel Foods to shop, and as my mom is doing the shopping, she's checking out. My brother and I go to play Missile Command, and we're playing Missile Command, and we're sitting there playing, and my little brother Andy comes over and he goes, "Guys, you got to come on. Mom says we got to go." And we says, well, we're playing Missile Command. Hold on one second. And he goes, "No, Mom says we got to go right now. She's almost done paying." And we're like, fuck you, because it's your little brother and you don't want to listen to him. You're not even thinking about it. We're trying to save the cities. We're playing Missile Command. So we finish playing Missile Command. We go over. My mom's gone. My brothers are gone. We have no idea where they're at. We go out in the parking lot. They're gone. The car's not parked where it was. So we have to walk back to our house now. So we walk back to our house. And as we get there, we walk inside. And all of the groceries have been brought in. My little brother's brought all the groceries in. My mom has not unpacked them, though. And we walk in, and my mom goes, "Take all that shit back. We're not going to Carol's." And we said, "What?" She goes, "You didn't fucking come? You want to play video games all day? Fine. Play video games all weekend. Take that shit back and get the money back." We had to, on foot, carry back all of the groceries that we had bought, which was going to be, it was hot dogs and food and soda for a 4-day weekend at Carol's. My mom instead made us carry all of it on foot back to Jewel and return it with the receipt and get the money back. And we had to stay home for the 4th of July. That's my mom. Tough love, man. Right in your fucking face. And it occurs to me that might not be funny, but it is a story about my mom, and hell, Mother's Day's coming up. Why not just go ahead and dump it all out on you? Because the last thing you want to hear is like in 3 weeks me going, hey, I forgot to tell you that about my mom. But that's how my mom handled things. She had to put her foot down or in your ass. Quite frankly, a lot of times it was in my ass. She did this. My mom did this in 1981. My brother, those of you, you listen to the podcast, you might know that I'm a Van Halen fan. That's kind of my band, and that's who I roll with. That 1981 had tickets to see them on the Fair Warning tour, and we were going to go to the show, and we wound up doing something stupid. I forget what it was, but we got grounded. My mom took our Van Halen tickets away, and then went to the concert. My mom went and saw Van Halen on the 1981 Fair Warning tour in my 14th row seats, and bought a shirt. My mom wasn't. She's not fucking around. She came home wearing the Van Halen shirt, reeking of dope and probably laughing at me the entire time. But yeah, my mom and then like I actually heard her talking about how like she wanted to bang David Lee Roth. Like have that conversation with your mom. Your mom talking about how hot David Lee Roth was and how I actually heard her say the phrase "you could see his balls." Like I don't want to hear my mom talking about David Lee Roth's balls, especially in tickets I paid for. I should have been there seeing his balls. So yeah, I took my tickets and went to the show. So by all means, Mom, go ahead and call me now to buy you some drugs and send them to you because I think you deserve them after everything that you've been through. So I've got to go ahead and check out where I can find purple sticky salvia. And it's funny because here, where I live in Valley Village, they've just opened up like 4 medicinal marijuana joints in the neighborhood, and they're like 7-Elevens, like literally outside. They've got a pot leaf in the window, and they're like, "Hey, come on in." So yeah, maybe I limp in there and buy some dope for my mom. That'll be a good plan. So there you go. There's your Mother's Day edition of the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, and it didn't start out that way. It wasn't going to be that way. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. We ended up talking about my mom, and that's how we ran with it. And why not? Because you know what? I love my mom. I should, and you should too. Well, you shouldn't. Wait a minute, that's not an oracle. You shouldn't love my mom, although you should love the idea of my mom, because if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't have me spewing like an idiot constantly all these horrible stories that you have to listen to. But I love my mom. She's the strongest person I've ever known in my life. Raised 5 boys on her own, and as fucked up as all those boys might be, they didn't do anything seriously harmful to anybody. Although I'm sure all the people I've taken a poke at in my life would argue differently. But I love my mom. She's the best. So I want to remind you guys, you can always come down to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You can always come down because now it's apparently a storefront. I've set it up and you can visit it, and I'm passing out communiques. That's great. So yeah, you can come there and always check out all the communiques and appearances. As far as appearances upcoming, I can tell you that Monday, May 12th, I am actually hosting a burlesque show. That's what it's come to, folks. No, my very good friend Lily Von Stupp and her friend Scarlett Letter, they booked the Monday Night Tease burlesque show at the 3 of Clubs nightclub at 1123 Vine Street. That's at Vine in Santa Monica in Hollywood, California. So if you're not in California, please, by all means, get your plane tickets now, because you're going to want to come to the Monday Night Tease and see me try to make fun of girls as they take their clothes off. So come on out to the burlesque. Do you pronounce the Q? Burlesque? Burlesque. I don't know. It's the Monday Night Tease show, and it's Monday night, May 12th. I'm not sure. Eric doesn't know. We're not sure. We're men. What do we know? It's tits. Come see tits. Come see pasties and tits, and try to put up with my nonsense in between the chicks as they all come out and do their routines. And I've been to this show, by the way, and there's not you get there. I don't want to say early. It does sell out, and there's always a lot of people there. But the worst part is like right in the front row of the thing. There's these guys with cameras, and they take pictures of the burlesque people. And I mean, I guess the girls are on board with it, but it was funny. My friend David Lawrence calls them the perverazzi because they are just, they're sitting there snapping photos and drooling and then smelling their fingers. They're awful people. So come on out to the Monday Night Tease and watch me make fun of them. That'll be great. And then watch some really hot chicks. So that's Monday the 12th. Always come to MikeSchmidtComedy.com for any information, any communiques. Also, you can go to ComedyFilmNerds.com where I'll be writing columns there. My first one is up. Go ahead and check it out. It was about going to see Iron Man at the ArcLight Theater here in Hollywood. Go ahead and check that out, and I'll be writing about something else this week. Who knows what it will be. So that's MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Go to myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Go to ComedyFilmNerds.com and read my stuff there, and keep abreast of all the stuff. Go ahead and leave feedback at iTunes. Go ahead and review the show here, the podcast, if you would. Go ahead and write a review for your local paper and mail it to them, and then watch them throw it away. They won't print it, because they're all frightened of the new media. I don't know if you heard about that. This is all part of the new media, and everybody's scared. And by new media, they mean nobody's getting any money for it. So go ahead and write a review of this at iTunes. That'd be great. Send me feedback, leave feedback wherever you want. Tell your friends, get them involved. And that's it. Go ahead and listen to your 40-Year-Old Boy podcast, and go ahead and get your Van Halen tickets because they are coming to your town for one more month. And get them and then give them to your mom. That would be a good Monday night tease. I had that in the brain still because I wanted, I'm thinking about chicks. Now I'm sitting here thinking about Donna Vichet, and all these hot chicks are going to be taking all their clothes off and going through the trapezes and spinning around. And, I don't know if you really want me there with these girls, because then I'm going to wind up trying to talk to them, and it's going to be awkward, and nobody's going to want to have to deal with me as because try talking to a chick with her top off. I mean, I've done that, and it's not fun. Pasties or no pasties, your pasties might be hiding your nipples, but all I'm thinking the whole time then in my head is brown or pink. That's all I'm thinking the whole time we're talking. Brown or pink, brown or pink, brown or pink. You can talk about pink. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jag-off. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jag-off. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're fit. 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 You're fit.